Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Wolf, and today I bring you my thoughts on Equestria Girls. When I first heard about this film many months ago, I really wasn't sure what to think. Back then, all we had were a couple of promotional images showing what the characters would look like as humans. I was actually rather worried about what kind of direction they were taking here. When I saw the first trailer, though, I started to feel intrigued. Seeing the characters in the promotional art made me skeptical, but actually seeing them animated started to look pretty good. Hearing their voices and seeing their antics actually made me glad that they weren't changing what I enjoyed about these characters. But I was still worried about the actual story. These characters have really grown on me since I started watching MLP, but I really couldn't get myself excited about seeing them in high school. It seemed like such a typical story that ends with a school-wide dance. But given my past experiences with MLP, I remembered just how much the show has surprised me. One of the major strengths about MLP is the fact that it keeps exceeding your expectations. The more you look into the show, the more you start to realize just how much depth and creativity there is. So, even with my hesitations about Equestria Girls, I decided that I should give it a chance, if only just to enjoy these characters that have grown so much on me. But in order to get a clearer picture of an audience perspective on this movie, I realized that my thoughts and opinions would not be enough. After all, I'm still not the intended demographic for this show. I could give a brony's perspective easily enough, but I wanted to get the perspective of the target audience as well. So I enlisted the help of some of my nieces, who have also been fans of MLP for quite some time. When I first mentioned to them about whether they would want to come see Equestria Girls with me, I was actually surprised to hear how excited they were. I knew that two of my nieces, ages 8 and 11, would certainly be interested, but it turned out that their older sister, age 17, also wanted to join us. All three of them have been watching this show for a long time, and I suppose that goes to show just how much MLP can reach a broad audience. So now that the four of us have watched Equestria Girls, we are ready to give our thoughts and opinions. My nieces have requested that specific ponies represent each of them while we are talking to make them easier to identify. So, my 8-year-old niece will be represented by Rainbow Dash. My 11-year-old niece will be represented by Princess Luna, and my 17-year-old niece will be represented by Applejack. So, if you were telling people about this movie, what would you say?
I would probably tell them how much I appreciated the similarity between the original characters of the show and the people characters of the show. They kept a lot of the same personalities and quirks, and I just really liked how they were all the same.
Oh, that's very good. What would you say that you enjoyed most about the film?
I probably enjoyed all the cameos of all the characters. Every time a new one would show up, oh, that's Scootaloo, or oh, that's this person, and it just really excited me every time I saw a new one.
Did you expect that there would be so many adult fans in the show in the audience?
I was expecting a few, but not as many as I saw there. There were quite a lot.
Well, thank you for that. So, if you were telling a friend about this movie, what would you say?
I would say that it's pretty similar to the MLP show and that the ponies turn into humans and Spike turns into a dog.
Did you think that you enjoyed it as much as you enjoy the normal show?
Yes, it's as good.
Was there anything about the movie that you think may have even been better than the show?
Not really. It's pretty much the same, except that they turn into humans.
All right, thank you for that. So, if a friend was asking you what this film was about, what would you tell them?
That Twilight, she has to go retrieve her crown from another pony that stole it. And so she goes through a magical mirror to this human world. When she gets out, Spike is a dog and she's a human. And then they find this high school where there's all these kids, and she finds her friends too.
Hmm. Did you enjoy a lot of the musical numbers in this film?
Yeah, I really like the one they did in the lunchroom because um, it's about Twilight. She's they want her to win the crown because it is her crown actually, and that's why.
Well, thank you for that. So what did you think about the male characters in this film?
I really liked the appearance of Big Mac. Of course, they kept his personality just saying "yup" all the time and really strong. I like him in the real show. And then the guy that Twilight meets, Flash Sentry, he's really nice, and I like how she grows on him and they get to be friends.
What did you think about Sunset Shimmer?
I didn't really like her as a villain. She's pretty heavy on the bad girl stereotype in most high schools, and I think they could have done a little more planning on the villain.
Oh, thank you for that. And now I can give my own thoughts about Equestria Girls. As has already been mentioned, I was quite surprised to see so many people show up for this film. About 3/4 of the audience were adults, with nearly half of them having brought their own pony-related merchandise. Considering how many bronies showed up, I suppose we should have organized some kind of after-party. Might have been fun. But anyways, I was glad to see that when I sat down to watch a movie, they actually started with a movie. No advertisements, no trailers for other films, not even an intro clip from Hasbro. When the time came, the movie just started. And they even had a remixed version of the MLP theme song, which was a nice change. What I remember most about this movie, though, is the humor. I can't remember the last time I was laughing so much in a movie theater. And it certainly helped that there were so many other bronies there who understood all the same references. I could tell that the adults were enjoying the movie even more than the kids were. There were dozens upon dozens of moments where we were all laughing out loud. I gotta hand it to the writers and the voice actors here. They turned in some very enjoyable moments. I also liked all the work they put into the animation. I could tell that during some moments it was even better than the TV show. It may not have the quality of other animated movies of today, but I really appreciate the fact that DHX keeps getting better and better at their work. The characters are still very endearing and even adorable. Introducing each of the main 6 was better than I had expected, and it felt rather similar to how I first met them when I started watching the show. The voice actors are still doing superbly, and I enjoyed all of their quirky moments together. And even with all the cameos they put in throughout the movie, and they do put in a ton of cameos, they make it very fun while not drawing away from the story. And even with the story itself, I was really not looking forward to seeing the main 6 in high school, but yet again the writers have exceeded my expectations. There are quite a few spots where the story feels tired and predictable, but I was having so much fun with everything else that the problems seemed rather minor overall. There is just so much to enjoy from this movie. There are also several musical numbers throughout the film, and all of them are pop songs. I was intrigued by the remix of the MLP intro song, but I wasn't too thrilled about the rest of them. It could be that I'm not as big a fan of pop songs as other kinds of music, but I really was hoping for more here. I am a big fan of several pieces of music in MLP, including This Day Aria, the Smile Song, the introduction of the Flim Flam Brothers, Art of the Dress, and Winter Wrap-Up, to name a few. But with Equestria Girls, none of the music really stuck out for me. There wasn't a single song that I was humming as I left the theater. I don't think that any of them were bad, they just didn't feel memorable, like the songs from the TV show do. And then we have Sunset Shimmer. She really doesn't stand out all that much as a villain. I was hoping that the writers could make something more of her rather than the stereotypical bad girl that the trailers had made her out to be. And even though there were a few moments that had potential, in the end she really didn't make for a memorable character. But to be honest, the reason I wanted to give this movie a chance wasn't because of the story, the music, or even the new characters. I wanted to see the main 6 in these new roles, and in that respect, this movie certainly exceeded my expectations. The characters are a lot of fun. The humor really stands out. The cameos kept coming out of nowhere, and I enjoyed every last one. Overall, I would definitely see this movie again, particularly with other fans of the show. Anyone who enjoys watching the TV series will find plenty of good moments in Equestria Girls. Despite the issues that I had with the movie, I would wholeheartedly recommend it to any MLP fan. The general audience wouldn't enjoy this movie quite as much, and for good reason. The writers and animators have put in so much subtle humor that only the fans of the show would understand. And that's really the strength of this film. Despite the fact that Hasbro wanted to create a new toy line, there was still so much put into this movie that seems to have been made just for us, the Brony community. I applaud the writers, animators, voice actors, directors, and whoever else made this movie a reality. And I'm hoping that Hasbro will realize more and more just how much potential there is in making MLP worthwhile. Perhaps someday in the future we will get a movie that has even more emphasis on appealing to the Brony community, and I eagerly await the day when that will come. So, have you seen Equestria Girls yet? Did it turn out any better or worse than you expected? Were you pleasantly surprised by what you saw? Or did the movie seem less than worthwhile? I would like to hear your thoughts on Equestria Girls and the impact it has had on the Brony community. And if you haven't seen Equestria Girls yet, then I would encourage you to put aside your hesitations and give it a chance, just as I did. You may find more than enough in this movie to make it worth your time. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.